Hello again, and welcome back to another Natural Selection 2 tutorial video for modding. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these, an animated prop. This is what I'm using right now for a start gate for my Gorge Race mod. And as you see, it'll go down, stay down for a little bit, and then it'll go back up. Just for the purposes of this video, I have it only staying up for like 10 seconds, but in the future I want it to stay up for like probably like a whole minute to allow gorges that are dead to line up and go together. So that's pretty much how that will work. And I'm going to be going over quite a few things here in this video. First thing we need to do is set up the model. We're going to add a bone to it, we're going to skin it, we're going to animate it, add tags to it, we're going to export that file, and then we're going to add the animations to the model compile file. We're going to check it out in the viewer, we're going to create an animation graph, and then we're even going to include physics objects so that you can do collision with it. So right now I don't collide with it. As you saw a second ago, I was just walking past it. So the last thing that we would do is set it up in our level and then check it out in the game, which I'm already doing. So let's get that started. I'm gonna shut down the game and switch screens. Okay, cool. Oop, don't need to see that. Alright, so where to get started? Let's go to my Gorge Race source folder. I have a model in there. In the props, I have a new folder in props called GR Underground for my map, and I've got all of these files, and I'm gonna make new files for you guys so I can just delete all of this stuff and start from scratch. And we'll go into the built files and delete all that stuff too, so we really are starting from scratch. And as you can see, I have the model here. It's called Start Gate. You might recognize it as a prop that is already in Natural Selection 2. It's just a big door, and I've turned it upside down, and I'm going to be using that. So you obviously, for your own models, would want to use whatever you have. Yeah, since I have access to all of the source files for the props, I just used this one to animate. And as you can see, here it is in 3D Studio Max, and it has all these tags, which I'll delete all of these so we can make new ones. It has a bone hiding here, that bone with some animations in it, so we're going to delete the bone because we're going to start a new one. And we also have well, I guess this file doesn't actually have the physics object in it, but we will be making a new one of those anyway. Alright, so again, here's my model. First thing we want to do, once we have the model set up where we want it, is add a bone. So in 3D Studio Max, you just go to the animation pull down, find the bone tools, create a bone, and just drag it in there somewhere. Then I'm going to just use the nubbin here, so I'm going to delete the other part of the bone that it creates and just use this. I'm going to name this root, and I will be operating with the expectation that you know at least a little bit about using 3D Studio Max. So if you do have problems with it, I'll try and be as clear as possible about what I'm doing so that you can follow along. Right then I just centered the origin of the bone, or the bone to the origin, but actually what I would like to do is make sure that the bone origin isn't the same as the model. Well, the model is also using the origin, so that should be fine. Typically I would just align it to the model using the align tool here, and set the position and angle to be the same. Apply, and now they share the same origin, which is good. And then what we want to do is go to the Modify tab here, select the model. We see we have a skin there already. I'll delete that and start over. What I want to do is go to the modifier stack here and add a skin modifier to it. And skin is what we use to basically rig the mesh to the skeleton. And there's a lot of things that you can do with that, but since this is just a single model and a single bone, basically all of the vertices on this model will be skinned to this one bone, so we don't really need to go any advanced stuff here. We just need to add the bone to the skin. There it is, the root bone, and now you see that it is added. And if we select the bone, we should be able to move the bone and it will move the entire model with it. Okay, perfect. So now we have a model that has been basically rigged for everything you need for Natural Selection 2. If it's more complex, you would probably want to create some controls and other fancy stuff, but again, this is just very simple animation, so I don't really need any of that. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is actually animate it, and the way I'm going to animate it is just on the bone directly. Be using auto key, and we want to set frame 0. This is my time slider, and I want time slider to be at 0 and set it to its current position. So now anytime I animate, frame 0 will stay at this current position. And what I want it to do is I want it to stay up for 30 frames, because 30 frames is a second, and then I'm going to do some trickery in the animation graph in the model compile file to get the speed of the animation to be exactly what I want it. So we'll go ahead and set this frame 30 to be up as well, and then we'll go to frame 60 and we're going to bring it down. So as you can see, it started to make a keyframe for the position of the model, and I want to make sure it's all the way down, so I'm going to switch to my left camera port, and I think I want to line it up with that line there, so it has a nice little bump, and you will still see it when it's in the ground. Alright, so that's there, and we will set the key. So now we animate from 30 to 60, see how it goes down. And it's a nice smooth curve, so we don't really need to mess with that. I could mess with the curves to make it more sudden, or you know, just more of a linear movement instead of this gradual movement, but we don't need to do that. And then we want it to stay down till frame 90, so we'll set keys for frame 90, and then at 120 we want it to be back at its original position. So I'm going to copy frame 0 to frame 120, and now at frame 120 it's back there. So going back to my perspective viewport, I'm going to turn my colors back on, and now we can see as I scrub through the timeline, it stays up, and then there's 30 frames where it's going down, 30 frames when it's staying down, and then 30 frames when it comes back up. Now what I need to do is I want to extract those as 4 separate animations, so I'm going to set up some animation tags. The button is down here by the keyframe, and tags are important, so we'll just go ahead and name this up S frame. That's sort of the naming convention that I use mostly. You'll see it in other animations if you look at the source files that I uploaded. And then at frame 30 we want to add a new tag called up E frame, because that's the end frame. Also at frame 30 we want to add go down S frame, and then at frame 60 we're going to have go down E-frame. We're going to add this as down S-frame, and then at 90 add down E-frame, and then go up S-frame, and then go up E-frame. Alright, so just double check my spelling here, because I often mess these up and that causes it not to build correctly. Yeah, those look good. And now we have all the tags and the animations that we need for this model. Pretty easy. Next thing we want to do is export it. I have a special export tool which simply does the steps to just exporting the file with the same file name in the same directory, and it just adds it uses the proper collide exporter, and I also have the option to export physics objects and create a model compile file, but we won't be using any of those steps. I'm just basically going through the steps of the normal export you see in the other videos. It's a lot easier this way. It's just one click, because I've had to export thousands of files throughout this project, so it's just one way to cut down clicks. And so I can also change the name here if I want, but I don't need to. Alright, so we'll export that, and you'll see it has the same dialog box as before, so we'll go ahead and approve that. And just to show, I will actually probably be providing this exporter. I'll probably link to it in this video, or yeah, in the forum somewhere. But if you aren't using the exporter, you can just go to File, Export, and use the uppercase Collada DAE, and you want to export it to your source directory, models, props, GR Underground, and there it is. And since I already just created it, I don't need to override it. Alright, so that's exporting. And again, in my previous videos I go through all the exporting process, so in case this is confusing, you should probably go rewatch that video. Now we can go ahead and close Max. I'm going to save that because it's correct. And the next step we want to do is create a model compile file. And the best way to do that is just start a new text document. I'm going to call it StartGate. I'm going to open it and save it out as switch to all files, just like in the previous videos. Model, oh, that's not right, dot model underscore compile, and that will be correct. We can delete the text document, I don't need that anymore. Alright, so now we have a model compile base file, and we need to set it up just like before. Geometry tree, I swear I do this all the time. And that will be startgate.de, and yeah, that's right. And then we're going to start adding some animations. Actually, there's also a line for physics, and for now we're just going to use startgate.de, and we'll see how that works. Now we need to add animations. So to add an animation, you type animation, you name the animation, and this will be up, and then we'll use the startgate.de, which is the source of my animation. If you were using it from a different file, you would just type in that file's name here. As long as the skeleton is visible when you export from that file, it will it will work here. You don't need the geometry unless it's the geometry file. Alright, so Stargate.de from up S frame to up E frame, and I'm going to do one for down. Stargate.de from down S frame to down E frame, and then we're going to copy these and make another set of animations. This one is go up and go down, and we'll say go up, and oh, that's not right at all. That's what it's supposed to look like. That. And go down. Alright. So now I have my animations, 4 different animations set up. And that's pretty much good to go. So we're going to go ahead, let's see, I need to have Builder running. So we're going to go back into my natural selection 2. Actually, I think I probably already have it. Yeah, I already have it running. You see how I tried to build the model compile file automatically when I had just first created it, but it didn't have anything in it, so it didn't have geometry specified. Now that it does, we can save it, and of course there's probably some, yeah. Yeah, that was brilliant. Totally spelled that wrong. Dyslexics. Alright, that worked. Sorry about that. Alright, so yeah, geometry, physics, and the animations. Alright, now what we want to do is use the viewer. So I have my Natural Selection 2 directory here, and we're going to open up viewer and find my file, which is going to be, yeah, it's already found it because I had already looked at it recently, and we're going to open that up, and there we go. See, my model is exported, it's been textured, and oh, I think it's crashing. No, it's not. Alright, and then we're going to, we have the animations here. See the up animation, down animation, the go up animation, and the go down animation. You can see that I have a skeleton, one bone here. You can see I've selected it, and you can see it just down there, and hiding there. And what else? We see the physics. We turn physics on, and we can render collision, which is this cube thing here. See that it has a collision. However, when it's animated, it doesn't actually animate the collision with the model. So, how do we fix that? I think we'll do that next. Let's go ahead and go back to my model in Max. And let's see. We're going to need to add a new object. And for that I want to start a new layer, call it physics. Okay, and if I have the check here, it means any new objects I create will go right into this new layer. So we'll close layers for now, and we'll create a new standard primitive box. Easy. I'm just going to go from the top view and just draw around it. Get the basic shape, and then I want to convert that to editable poly, and using the front view we can just, yeah, move these into position, and oh, there we go, and line that there. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, but you know, it's a quick job. So let's see, we'll hide the geometry, and now we just have the skeleton, which is on its own layer here, and the physics object, which is on its own layer here. It looks like a big blue cube right now. Rectangle, whatever. Alright. Now what we want to do is, in order to make sure that it animates with the bone, so we notice the oh crap, let's select the bone here. Notice how when it animates, the object does not animate with it, so we just need to select the box. Actually, let's rename that to physics, and then just link the box to the bone, and the link tool's up here, and by linking you now have a animated physics object. However, that's not the last step, because we still need to add one more thing. Let's see. So I already have it open here. This is my reactor toolbar. If you don't have it, you can right click on any gray space in your toolbar and select reactor. Should come with 3 Studio Max. And then we want to click on this button that has the 3 boxes stacked together. It says rigid body collection, and just place that anywhere in the, where did that go? It should be there. It's there, it's just hidden for some reason. It's not on that layer. Alright, so I should have oh, it's way up here. Okay, that happens. Alright, so I have my collection selected. It doesn't really matter where it is. Might as well just put it at the origin and go to the modify tab for it, and we want to add our physics geometry to that. And we select highlight to see that it does actually highlight the physics object that I have. And now we're ready to export this as a physics object. So you would basically export this just like you would export the regular model, except you want to have underscore, well, you don't have to do this, but this is what I do, is I export it with a different name. It'll be physics underscore .dae, or startgate underscore physics.dae. So we'll see if that actually works. I haven't actually, that's a new feature that I put in, so we'll see if that actually did it right. Yeah, there we go. Startgate physics underscore in there. DAE is fine, and then we're going to now we just need to set up in the model compile file so that for physics it's going to reference that model. And save. So by saving that, it should have built a new thing, and it might have crashed viewer. I guess it didn't. Alright, so now you can see, actually, because the physics render collision is active, you can see I have a new box. That is my actual collision body. And now when we animate, perfect. You can see the collision object actually animates with the model. So that should work perfectly in game, where if you are trying to move past it, you will get stopped if it's up. Alright. That was pretty fun. Next thing we need to do is set up the animation graph. And to do that, we open up the animation graph window, and it likes to link to things. Alright, so we'll just make that nice and big, and this is the animation graph. Relatively new feature, and this is how we drive, the animations for all of the models. The most complex one is the marine, the male model animation graph. If you have a chance, go and look in Viewer and open up the male animation graph to see how awesome that is. It's pretty crazy. We're going to be using a new one, so let's go ahead and save a new animation graph. So every animated model will need an animation graph, even animated props. So we're going to call this one startgate.animation graph, and let's stop moving it. It has a few features. Right now it's just a blank, but what we want to do is start adding nodes, and these nodes will house the animations that we want to play, and then we can choose how they interact with each other. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to have 4 different animations. So I'll double click the animation node here and change the action to play an animation, and I want it to play up, and don't need to mess with any of this stuff just yet. So I'll just go over the animation node real quick. Animation node has a label. I can label this up. Entry conditions, which there currently aren't any inputs, so there aren't any conditions to have, and you can choose to either not enter this node until the previous animation is complete. You can hold on this node before it moves on to the next animation, and you can have a tag that will play when you enter an animation, or enter this node or exit this node. You can choose to have it play an animation, clear the animations that are being played, or do nothing, sort of a transition type node. You can change the blend time, so it will actually shave some of the animation time off of one animation and blend it into the next animation. Use this a lot for movement in the characters. And blend time label, well, let's show you what labels do. So first of all, let's just show you what linking these nodes together will do. So you can see by linking this node to that node with this arrow, it moves it into that. Currently there aren't any conditions that it needs to meet, so it will automatically do that. Now if we have it go back, it'll go in this endless loop where it'll just play the up animation and go back and forth. If I do hold on animation, it will play the full animation and then jump. You can see it, well, not a very good animation to show off what it's doing, but it's basically spending a second in the up position, and then it's going back there and back there, pretty much instantaneously. So currently there is no way to delete these links, so what we want to do is just delete the node and create a new one. You also need to be careful with labels, because labels, if they share the same name, will be treated as if they are linking together. So you see how it's bouncing back and forth just like it did before. That's because it's acting as if these two are linked together. So we don't need that. We want this to be down. You don't need to use labels, but they help organize things a little bit. And then go up. And then we'll set up these animations. Play down. Whoop, I messed that up. Go down. Down. Play animation. Go up. We actually want all of these to hold until it's complete, so we'll select that for all of these. And I want to set them up in sort of an order, so we want it to, let's see, start in the up position, then we want it to go down, and then we want it to be in the down position and then go back up. So let's just create a loop here. So go like this, and let's see. So you can see, well, let's make this viewport a little smaller. As you can see, it's going up, staying up for a second, going down, and staying down for a second. Okay. Now, I don't want it to be going up and down every second or every couple seconds. I want it to stay up for about maybe 60 seconds, maybe 100 seconds. Let's just do 100 seconds because that'll be easy. And then go down for about 10 seconds. And then it'll go back up and stay up for another, 100 seconds. Alright, so in order to do that, there's two ways. I can change the speed here. If I wanted this to be up, stay down for 10 seconds, I can change this to 0.1. Now it'll play this animation at 0.1 speed. You'll see how it stays down a lot longer. And let's see, we want the go down to be fast, so we'll make that double time. And we want the go up to be slow, so we'll make that half time. And then we want it to stay up for a long time. And in order to change that, I'm going to do it a different way. Let's go back actually into the model compiled file. We can adjust the speed here by adding a new line called speed, and we're going to call this 0.01, which will make it much slower. Although, just to demonstrate it, I'm going to just keep it at 0.1. Eventually I will probably have it at 0.01, so it will take like 100 seconds to go back to go down. Alright, so save that, and that got automatically built, so now it's updated. You can see in the output here it says reloading. That's just showing that it's automatically updating. And great, so now I actually have everything I need to make this work. So let's let's save this graph and close everything down. Close all the files. I don't need this anymore. We'll save that. Close this. And now the next step is going to be, let's open, let's pause for a minute. Hello, I'm back again, and had to take a quick break there. So now we need to do a couple more things. I think the last thing that I need to do is set it up in the actual editor, and then we can check it out in the game. So yeah, I'm going to open up the editor here and find Board Race Underground, and here we go. This is the way I have it set up, and you can see the animated prop is already in there, so we're going to delete that. And what I want to do, start a new layer called, we'll just call it Start Gate, and say OK. We're going to hide everything else because I don't want it to get in my way. And then we're going to drop a entity prop dynamic here, and I'm just going to drop it right about there. Now, not a lot of feedback saying that I actually dropped one, but there is one there, so I'm going to have to find it first by turning off all my filters on the bottom, and so I'm only filtering entities. And there, yeah, I actually was able to select it without selecting anything else. And now what we want to do is we want to load the model. The model is going to be, oh, that's not it. actually props. And since I'm using my mod from Launchpad, it will actually include the props folder that I have in my Gorge Race output directory, and you'll see it has the Stargate model that I just made. And there we go. It's actually pretty much exactly where I want it. Let's try moving it around. Yeah, let's see. Oh, let's turn on all my props again. And it's going to clip through that for now, but we might create a better one later. So yeah, we'll just put it right there. It looks like it's where I want it in the ground. And now we go back to the select tool and check it out. I have the thing here for animation, and this is actually an animation input. And what that means is it's going to feed whatever I type into here into the animation graph, and that's what animation is going to play. So if I had 4 different animations or something in my animation graph, set up in my animation graph, I could, well, let's just it's probably easier if I just show you. This one's going to be called Animate, and save that. Then we're going to need to go into the animation graph. So let's check out the viewer again. Yeah, that's right. And open Stargate model and the animation graph. Make sure I'm opening. I need to actually open the source version of the animation graph. Which is not there. Where is it? I must have done it wrong in the first place. Basically, you want your animation graph to be in the source folder, not in the output folder. So we're gonna go back to the desktop and find the one that's in the wrong place, and we're gonna save that into the right place. It is the same file, so it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but if I want it to update correctly, I should put it in the proper place. So animation graph. Alright, and save. And then in the animation graph, that looks the same. We want to keep doing that. Add a new input. And for inputs, we have several different things. Booleans, which is basically just a true or false. If the input is true, then it will, output that as true. If it's false, then it will be false. Obviously, that makes sense. Enumeration is just okay, cool. Enumeration is where, well, let's just say that the animate is the name of it. Enumeration would be, or no, the name of this one is actually going to be animation. And when we're using an animation input from the editor, you see here this animation input from the editor, you're going to want to use an enumeration and name it animation, and then you want the value to be whatever you put in this box. So we want that to be animate, and you can add animate 2, animate 3, name it whatever you want, and by just separating them with commas, it would create a new drop down with all 3 different animations. So we really only want animate, but if we were to use animate 2 as an input, we would set that up in the in here and have a different prompt dynamic, and we would name this animate 2, and it would use that input. Hopefully that makes sense. So going back to inputs, we want to set that to animate, and then I can show you entry conditions. So here we want to say if animation equals animate, then that will be a correct condition, and it will enter into this node. If this condition is not met, it will never enter into that node until it is met. Okay. You can see it updates in the node here, so you can see it without having to select it. And if I go to animate 2, when it comes back around, it will I'm just waiting for it to come back around. Go up. Oh, it's hard to do this with one window. Usually I use two. Let's make this smaller. You can see how it stays. Oh crap! It stays in the go up node and doesn't continue on into this node until this animation input is changed to animate, and now it will continue again. So if I had a different sequence, maybe even a different speed sequence, I can make an entirely different loop here and have a different input, and then in the graph, or I'm sorry, in the level editor, I would just change what entry this is. So that's actually all I need to do to set that up. I believe I want to make this collidable as true so that it will actually use the physics object. If this is false, then you'll always be able to walk through it. And we'll ignore everything else for now. But yeah, we'll go back to the viewer and save this animation graph. Make sure it's in the right place. Yes. And that'll do it. Okay. So now that that is saved correctly, we'll save the level and close that. And now I don't think this is actually working in the current build, but in the next build this should work fine. But what I'm going to do next is make sure Gorge Race is loaded and then run NS2 from the launchpad. And let's go ahead and switch scenes here. There we go. And then we'll go to map NS2. Oh wait, Gorge Race Underground. And you can see that it has loaded Gorge Race Underground, and boom, there we go. Everything is working now. As you can see, oh, where'd it go? There is my animated prop in the ground, and there we go. After something like 10 seconds, it animated back up. And then eventually went back down. See how it went down a little faster than it went up? That is how it's set up. And then just to be sure, let's check the collision on it. Yep, that works. Sweet, now I have a brand new start gate. Okay, well that concludes the tutorial version, or portion of this video. The last thing I want to do is actually request something, because you know, this is pretty simple. It's not the best start gate. I wouldn't mind seeing something else in my mod. And I think what I would like to do is ask you guys, the community, to come up with your own. Create your own start gate. Maybe you can use my map, or you can use it in your own maps, and create something cool. Show it to me. You can post on the Gorge Race thread in the modding forums, and maybe screenshots, or you can send me files or videos. My email address is brian@unknownworlds.com, and yeah, I just want to see what you guys can do. Maybe challenge you a little bit, and I don't know, it could be something like the dog race, how it has like those doors that open up at the start, or revolving door, I don't know, anything. But hopefully with this tutorial you should be able to create something pretty simple and probably something cooler than what I've got here. I'm going to go ahead and publish this model to the Steam Workshop so that you can see it in the newest update of Gorge Race if you have that subscribed to. And that'll be it for my next video. I'm not quite sure. I think I might try skinning a custom gorge model to the gorge skeleton, and maybe adding some other things. Okay, that'll do it. Thank you very much for watching this video.